Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Tanvat Pranam, Dear Srila Prabhupada, Hari Bol. Thank you, Aarti Mataji and Ramchandra Prabhu for leading the chanting this morning. Right, let's continue with our prayer. Vaishnava Bhajan Ashtakam for this week, Shri Chaitanya Ashtakam. Anybody would like to recite? Posted the link in the chat. Let me share the screen. Yes. Anybody would like to try? Not, then I'll continue. Okay, so we'll continue today then. Hopefully tomorrow somebody else can try. All right. Sadopasya Shriman Dhritamανujakaaya hi pranayitam Vahadbhirgirbaణैr Girisha Parameshthi Prabhritibihi Svabhaktebhyah Shuddhas Nija Bhajana Mudram Upadishan Sachaitanyah Kim Me Punarapi Trishoryasya Padam Sureshanam Durgam Gatiratiशयेनोपनिषदाम् मुनीनां सर्वस्वं प्रणतपटलीनां मधुरिमा विनिर्यासः प्रेम्णो निखिलपशुपालं भुजदृशां सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदं स्वरूपं बिभ्राणो जगदतुलम् अद्वैतदयितः प्रपन्न श्रीवासो जनित परमानन्दगरिमा हरिर्दीनोद्धारी गजपति कृपोत्सेकतरलः सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदं रसोद्दामा कामार्बुदमधुरधामोज्ज्वलतनुर् यतीनामुत्तंसस्तरणिकरविद्योतिवसनः हिरण्यानां लक्ष्मीभरमभिभवन् अङ्गिकरुच सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदं हरे कृष्णेत्युच्चैः स्फुरितरसनो नाम गणना कृतग्रन्थिश्रेणी सुभगकटिसूत्रोज्ज्वलकरः विशालाक्षो दीर्घार्गलयुगलखेलाञ्चितभुजः सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदं पयोराशेस्तीरे स्फुरदयुपवानालिकलनया मुहुर्वृन्दारण्य स्मरणजनितप्रेमविवशः क्वचित् कृष्णावृत्ति प्रचलरसनो भक्तिरसिकः सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदं रथारूढस्याराद् अधिपदविनीलाचलपतेर्अदभ्रप्रेमोर्मी स्फुरितनटनोल्लासविवशः सहर्षं गायद्भिः परिवृततनुर्वैष्णवजनैः सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदं भुवं सिञ्चन् अश्रुश्रुतिभिरभितः सान्द्रपुलकैः परिताङ्गोनीपा स्तबकनवकिञ्जल्कजैभिः घनस्वेदस्तोमस्तिमिततनुरुत्कीर्तनसुखी सचैतन्यः किं मे पुनरपि दृशोर्यास्यति पदम् अधीते गौराङ्गस्मरणपदवीमङ्गलतरं कृतीयो विश्रम्भ स्फुरदमलधीरष्टकमिदं परानन्दे सद्यस्तदमलपदाम्भोजयुगले परिस्फारा तस्य स्फुरतु नितरां प्रेमलहरी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री चैतन्य अष्टकम की जय। श्रीला रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, anybody would like to take up the service of reading the translations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes, please, Meenu Mataji. Yeah.
Your voice is coming very low somehow. I don't know. Um,
Okay.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always the most worshipable deity of the demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, who came in the garb of ordinary men bearing love for him. He instructs his own pure devotional service to his own devotees. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the protector of the demigods, the supreme goal of the Upanishads, the be all and end all of great sages, the beautiful shelter of his devotees, and the essence of the love of the lotus eyed gopis. Will he again be visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has manifested his own form, which cannot be compared to anything in the material universe. He is very dear to Advaita Acharya and Srivas Pandita and is surrendered to him. He is very respectful to Paramananda Puri. He takes away the ignorance of the material world and delivers the conditioned souls suffering from the threefold misery. He showered his mercy on Maharaj Prataparudra, the king of Orissa. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes maddened by tasting the mallows of devotional service. His effulgent form is the abode of sweetness for millions of cupids, and he is the crust jewel of sannyasis. His garments display the effulgence of the sun, and the splendor of his body eclipses the beauty of gold. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in a loud voice, the holy name dancing on his tongue as he counts the number of recitations on a beautiful knotted string held in his effulgent hand. His eyes are large and his long arms, bending as he performs his pastimes, reach down to his knees. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the topmost of all devotees. Sometimes, while walking on the beach, he would see a beautiful garden nearby and mistake it for the forest of Vrindavan. He would thus be completely overwhelmed by ecstatic love of Krishna and begin to chant the holy name and dance. His tongue worked incessantly as he chanted, Krishna, Krishna. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced down the main road in the great ecstasy before Lord Jagannath, the master of Nilachala, who was sitting on his car, overwhelmed by the transcendental bliss of dancing and surrounded by the Vaishnavas who sang the holy names. He manifested waves of ecstatic love of Godhead. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became joyful during the loud chanting of the holy names, and he sprinkled the earth with showers of tears. All the hairs of his body, standing on end, appeared like beautiful filaments of fresh kadamba blossoms, and his body glistened with profuse perspiration. Will he again become visible before the path of my eyes? May the great ocean, full of waves of pure love for the two white lotus flowers off the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, become immediately manifested at every moment to whatever pious person reads these eight most auspicious verses, his pure intelligence shining with faith as he meditates on Lord Gauranga. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Meenu Mataji. So beautiful, wonderful reading. Anything you want to share that you like from this prayer?
Um, there are two words, I think it's in verse 5 or 6, that
Mm,
they talked about that he mistakenly saw something. I'm just trying to see where I read it. Yeah, 6. Mistake it for the forest of Vrindavan, even the garden nearby. And in the ninth
mm,
verse, there's something that says the lotus flowers of the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Um,
mm.
just a story I remembered, so I thought I'll share that.
Sure. Yeah.
When Narayana, the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, is lying on the bed of snake in the ocean, and Lakshmi Ma is serving him, there's this little turtle comes up. He thinks that the feet are like a lotus feet. They're like lotus flowers. So he comes and nudges the what he thinks is a lotus petals, but it turns out to be Narayana's feet. And Lakshmi Ma shoos him away that, please don't disturb. You're not allowed to touch. That's Narayana. That turtle later on became Kevat in Ram's in that yuga. Sorry, I get confused when because I'm not prepared. So in Treta Yuga, he becomes that Kevat. That's why that Kevat becomes so adamant that I will not let him get on that boat unless I touch those feet and I wash those feet. So uh, the thoughts of like what I'm trying to say is the love for Krishna or love for God, it's not from this birth. It's coming from many births to us. It's just maybe we realize it differently, maybe we get our wish fulfilled differently. God is always there with us along the way. It's like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is kind of building a bridge for us, like king builds a bridge over the ocean or the river, and even the ants can crawl on it and cross over that ocean. So we are those tiny ants who are trying to cross over the material ocean through readings of Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the readings, and inspired by all the other Guru Vargas. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. See, I don't know why. I was literally thinking of ants today, you know. I said I had to talk about ants today. And you brought up about ants and turtles, and so anyway, now I was just thinking because I don't know why I just saw a lot of ants yesterday, and then in our class yesterday, Amrind Prabhu, he was talking about ants, and then just this morning when I was chanting, or just before this step, I was thinking of ants again. So and then you talk about ants, so all very nice coincidence. But yeah, the
Yeah.
example that he was sharing was, like about ant is just like, even if you're an ant, if we are walking, like an ant also towards that destination, even though how much can an ant walk, right? Like we gave the same example, how much can a turtle, you know, crawl in 1 hour, right? Versus a bunny hopping, and he can just hop in maybe 2 or 3 steps. What a turtle can do in 1 hour, right? So, but even if you're an ant, he was saying, and you're walking consistently, slowly, steadily, consistently, every day, that is more important than being an eagle that can fly but is not even moving, right? So again, he was just sharing that from a context of that, how consistency builds the habit and how consistency leads to success, right? So page by page become a sage, right? So somebody who's reading for 10 minutes every day is consistently is better than somebody who just one in a blue moon or once in a month reads one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day, right? So anyway, these are just his words yesterday. So they were kind of resonating with me in my heart as we are trying to build this habit of chanting japa in the morning and reading every day, right? So, and again, when we do that consistently, and if we are, you know like I said, the love is there already, dormant in everybody's heart. It just needs to be revived, and we cannot do that ourselves, right? That can be done by the mercy of the Lord. And when we cry like this every single day, when we try this 8 times, when will he become again visible before the path of my eyes? Then of course Srimati Radharani, who is our eternal mother, compassion personified, and you can cry to her. it's like it's like when we even in material world, when we have some issues, when growing up, I remember, sometimes we make some mistakes, we will be very scared to go and meet face to face with our father, right? So, but if we tell to our mothers are so compassionate, right? They're so merciful that they will make sure that somehow they will patch up our relationship with our father, right? So she'll even go to the extent of saying that if you don't forgive him or you don't talk to him, then you don't talk to me, right? So then ultimately father will eventually, the relationship will be restored. So like that, we can cry. And of course here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Srimati Radharani, in that mood, Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So when we pray every single morning like this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why will Krishna not be pleased with us, right? So yeah, so this love we can develop just by the simple gesture of consistently chanting the Lord's name, because the Lord himself says to Narad Muni, right, that Natishtami Vaikunthe Yogina Hridayam Cha, right? I don't reside in the hearts of the yogis, I don't reside in Vaikuntha. Tatra Tishtami Narada Yatra Gayanti Madbhakta. So where my devotees sing my glories or chant my holy name, that's where I reside. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Meenu Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, let's continue with our reading of teachings from Lord Kapila, from the first verse. Alright, so we are reading from here. Tapo Divyam. Anybody else would like to try reading? If not, I'll continue. Okay. Tapo Divyam Putrakeyena Sattvam Shuddhyedyasmad Brahma Saukhyam Tvanantam. Rather, my dear boys, one should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal, blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. This is the meaning of Vedic civilization, the society of Varnashrama Dharma, composed of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Grihasthas, Vanaprasthas, Brahmacharis, and Sannyasis, is meant to elevate people gradually to the perfect stage of understanding God. The whole aim of the different Varnas and Ashramas is the worship of the Supreme Lord. One can attain this understanding through the social system, which admits of gradations. When one goes to school, he begins with the first grade, then progresses to the second, third, and so forth. In this way, one makes progress. When human society accepts Varnashrama Dharma, it can gradually come to the understanding of Brahman. By birth, everyone is a Shudra. Therefore, everyone has to be educated. The word Dvija means twice born. One is first born through the womb of a mother, and one's next birth is given by the spiritual master and Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is the mother, and the spiritual master is the father. When one is twice born, Dvija, he receives a sacred thread from the spiritual master and begins to learn about spiritual life. He is then allowed to read the Vedic literatures. In this way, one becomes the son of Vedic literature. Nigama kalpa taror galitam phalam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of Vedic culture. It is a wish-fulfilling tree, and we can take whatever we want from it. Vedic knowledge is perfect, and if we want to come to know it, we must take shelter of a bona fide guru. Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Evabhigachet. Unfortunately, in this age, everything is mismanaged. People forget the aim of life, and at such a time, the Supreme Lord himself comes. The Supreme Lord descends out of compassion because he is more anxious to have us return home back to Godhead than we are to go. Because we are in ignorance, we do not know anything about the kingdom of God. We know nothing about how to get there or how to become happy. We have forgotten all this. Therefore, Krishna comes at intervals or sends his representative, the pure devotee. Sometimes he comes personally and sometimes he sends his incarnation. Kapil Dev is an incarnation of the Supreme Person, Sri Krishna. Therefore, it is stated, Kapilas Tattva Sankhyata Bhagavan Atma Mayaya. The word Maya means not only illusion but also affection and energy. When Krishna comes, all his energies also come. It is not that he is forced to come. We have to accept a certain type of body because we are forced to do so. But this is not the case with Sri Krishna. Presently, I may have a human form, but in the future, I cannot demand a human form. We receive bodies in the next life according to karma, not will. One cannot demand to a high court judge unless one has been educated for the job. First of all, one must become qualified. If one qualifies himself, one may become a devata, a demigod like Indra or Chandra, or one can become a dog or a cat. That depends on one's karma or activities. Karmana daiva netrena. When Krishna or his incarnation come, they do not depend on karma for their bodies. The Supreme Lord is above karma and is fully independent. It is therefore said, Atma Mayaya. The Supreme Lord comes by his own energy, not by the external energy or by force. When the governor visits the prison, he is not forced to do so. He is not to be considered a condemned person. Rather, he goes by his own goodwill just to see how things are going on. However, it is understood that when an ordinary person is placed in jail, he is sent there by force because he has been proven a criminal. A criminal may think that he and the governor are one, just as rascals and fools think that Krishna is one of them. Avajananti ma muda manusham tanum ashritam. A knowledgeable person knows that when Krishna or his incarnation descends upon the material world, the Supreme Lord maintains his transcendental position. He is not an ordinary man, nor is he forced into the material world due to karma. The Supreme Lord comes by his own goodwill. Param bhavam ajanantah. Rascals cannot understand what Krishna is. Therefore, they think that Krishna is a human being. As Krishna himself states in the Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvatah. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Understanding Krishna is therefore not so easy. As stated by Krishna, out of many thousands, one person may become a siddha, a self-realized being, and out of many siddhas, one may be able to understand Krishna. It is our great fortune that Sri Krishna Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself has appeared and given us a very easy process by which we can understand Krishna. What is that process? We need only hear about Krishna. That's all. We have therefore opened all these centers for Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Shrinvatam svakataha Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hridyantaha sohi abhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17. If we hear about Krishna, we become purified. Hearing about Krishna means associating with Krishna. In this way, we may perfect our lives. Okay, let's move to verse 2. The Transcendental Master and Supreme Yogi. Nahi asya varshmana pumsam varimna sarva yoginam vishrutau shrutadevasya bhuri trapyanti me savaha. Shaunaka continued, there is no one who knows more than the Lord himself. No one is more worshipable or more mature a yogi than he. He is therefore the master of the Vedas, and to hear about him always is the actual pleasure of the senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that no one can be equal to or greater than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Vedas also. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman. He is the supreme living entity and is supplying the necessities of all other living entities. Thus, all other living entities, both Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva, are subordinate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The same concept is confirmed here. Na yasya varshamanaha pumsam. Among living entities, no one can surpass the Supreme Person because no one is richer, more famous, stronger, more beautiful, wiser, or more renounced than he. These qualifications make him the Supreme Godhead, the cause of all causes. Yogis are very proud of performing wonderful feats, but no one can compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Anyone who is associated with the Supreme Lord is accepted as a first-class yogi. Devotees may not be as powerful as the Supreme Lord, but by constant association with the Lord, they become as good as the Lord himself. Sometimes the devotees act more powerfully than the Lord. Of course, that is the Lord's concession. Also used here is the word varimnaha, meaning the most worshipful of all yogis. To hear from Krishna is the real pleasure of the senses. Therefore, he is known as Govinda. For by his words, by his teachings, and by his instruction, by everything connected with him, he enlivens the senses. Whatever he instructs is from the transcendental platform, and his instructions, being absolute, are non-different from him. Hearing from Krishna or his expansion or plenary expansion like Kapila is very pleasing to the senses. Bhagavad Gita can be read or heard many times, but because it gives great pleasure, the more one reads Bhagavad Gita, the more he wants to read and understand it. And each time he gets new enlightenment. That is the nature of the transcendental message. Similarly, we find that transcendental happiness in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The more we hear and chant the glories of the Lord, the more we become happy. In the previous verse, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Devahati Putra Kapil Dev has been explained as Bhagwan Atma Mayaya. The word Bhaga means opulence and Van means one who possesses. All the opulences of the creation are present in Bhagavan. As stated in the Vedas, Katha Upanishad 2.2.13, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. Nitya, Bhagavan is the singular and Nityanam are the plural jivas or living beings. Nitya Nityanam, we are many, but God is one. There is no limit to the jivas. No one can count them. The word Ananta means that they are without limit. All these jivas, living entities, are being maintained by the Supreme One. We cannot conceive how many living entities are being maintained by the Supreme Lord. All the great elephants, all the small ants, all the 8.4 million species of life are maintained by Bhagavan. Why do we worry that He will not maintain us? Those who are devotees of the Lord and have taken shelter at His lotus feet, leaving everything aside simply to render service unto Him, will certainly be cared for. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have over 100 centers, and Krishna is maintaining them all. None of our devotees are employed for independent incomes, yet they are all being maintained. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna never says, do this or that, and I will then maintain you. Rather, He states that not only will He maintain us, but He will also protect us from the results of sin, from sinful karma. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. All of this assurance is there. Tasyaiva hetuho prayateta kovidaha. The word kovidaha means intelligent. An intelligent person should try to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Human life is actually meant for getting in touch with the lotus feet of Krishna. That should be our only business. The word Upari indicates the higher planetary systems. There are 7 higher planetary systems, and we are in the middle system, in Bhuloka. Within this one universe, there are 14 planetary systems, and the living entities are wandering in different bodily forms on different planets. According to karma, the living entity sometimes goes up and sometimes goes down. He wanders in this way, thinking how he can become materially happy and satisfy his senses. The Shastras say that we should not do this, that we should endeavor to understand Krishna. We should not worry about eating and sleeping, for the needs of the body are already arranged. We do not have to work independently to maintain the body. Tallabhyate dukkhavadanan vad anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhiraram hasa. Our actual endeavor should be to attain happiness. That is our real struggle for existence. According to the Shastras, Tallabhyate dukkhavad. The word dukkhavad indicates that although we do not want misery, misery comes anyway. We don't have to endeavor separately for misery. No one says, let there be fire in my house, or let my child die. No one aspires after these things, yet they happen. Everyone is thinking, may my child live happily, or may I get so much money. We do not ask or pray for catastrophes, yet they come without invitation. Similarly, whatever happiness is there for our enjoyment will also come without our asking for it. The conclusion is that we should not endeavor for so-called happiness or distress, but should try to attain that position whereby we can understand Krishna and get shelter at His lotus feet. This should be the real human endeavor. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's pause here. Yes, so many endeavors we are doing in our daily lives, in a year. Just yesterday only at our office we were talking about, like the yearly goals, and again we had our all hands meeting, and the not the CEO but the CTO, he was talking about what we have accomplished in the last year, how much, so much of endeavor, just remembering those, like how much accomplishments in the last 1 year, and ultimately what does it lead to, right? Just like hankering to do more, right? So they were comparing Kroger's results, and while Kroger did well, they're looking at other competitors. Oh, they did so much, or they did this much, so we have to do this much. So we cannot stop, right? We cannot rest on our laurels. This is good, but we have to become great. This, right? So it's like this whole world is just going on that material endeavors, and hankering to do more and more and more, right? We have this much, so that's why it's very clear in our scriptures that how much ever we have, we will never be satisfied, right? Today we have this much, tomorrow we want that much more. Today I have this much, but this company has done so much, so I need to do better than them, right? So yeah, we have a new CEO who joined from who's a Kiwi, who's a New Zealander. He used to be the CEO of Walmart before, 8 years ago, and he's really nice. Of course, I was just telling last other day to my family, when we were watching the World Cup final, that New Zealanders are generally very kind-hearted. Same thing with Australians; they're very, very aggressive, right? So anyway, it reminded me of him. But Greg Foran, our new CEO, he was talking about. Somebody asked him, so you came from Walmart, so when you were at Walmart, what did you think of Kroger? And blah blah blah, so something like that. And anyway, he was sharing that, when I was, he started saying that, well, we have to be who we are. We have to be more Kroger than what we are today, right? So anyway, it was good. But the point is that he was also saying the same thing, that I see how we can achieve so much. We are at 2.5% growth today. We should be at 6%. And so yeah, he has already put his challenge out there to grow more than double. But again, yeah, what we understand from scriptural knowledge is that how much ever we achieve, we will always hanker and hanker and hanker for more, right? So there will never be satisfaction and peace. But the eternal peace, everlasting peace, comes when we take shelter of the Lord, take shelter of His instructions, take shelter at the instructions and the Vani of His pure devotees, right? So that is where pure and eternal lasting happiness is found. And the Lord comes, right? So the Lord comes, like we are reading today. I mean, there are unlimited jivas, but He is maintaining each one of them. It's just mind-boggling, to understand how many jivas are there. Like Prabhupada is saying, it's ananta, right? You cannot count them. But just thinking about them itself, my mind spins, right? Like we were talking about ants. Just if you look at one colony of ants, it's just mind-boggling how where they are coming. As soon as spring, like the weather warmed up, you see ants everywhere. And they're just like, when you just look at them, but they're focused. One thing good about with ants is you see them, everybody, they'll just follow the predecessor, right? Just simply following in one line, and they will, whatever they want to get their food, and then they'll go back. But just one species, if you look at them, under the earth or wherever they live in the small holes and everywhere. But yeah, there's so many. So just unimaginable how many living entities are there, and yet they are all being sustained by the Lord. That wonderful story we read about elephants and we read about ants. So that story of how much faith a devotee has. That famous story that I'm sure most of us have heard about Narad Muni. When he comes to one town and there's that cobbler, who's working on doing this leather work, right, mochi. But he's such a simple-hearted devotee that when Narad Muni, when he's doing his work, he's still chanting the holy names of the Lord. And Narad Muni comes there, and Narad Muni is fascinated by him because he's doing his work, but he's remembering the Lord constantly. So when he comes and the cobbler sees Narad Muni, and then he says, "Oh Narad Muni, you'll be going back to Vaikuntha. Please, would you ask my Lord that when will I see him?" Right. So Narad Muni is so touched by his words that he's saying, "Oh, you're already chanting the Lord's holy names. But anyway, sure, I'm going to Vaikuntha now, and I'll certainly ask him." Right? And then he moves forward, and then he sees one Brahmana who is doing all kind of Vedic injunctions, following all Vedic injunctions and reading Shastras. But he asks the same question: "Will you ask the Lord when will I see him?" He says, "For sure, yes." And then when he goes to Vaikuntha, and then he mentions this that he met these two gentlemen. And asks the Lord, when will they come? That is their desire. And the Lord says, "Okay, I'll certainly answer that question. But before that, when you go back, just tell them what I was doing." Right? And he says, when you go back, you tell them what I was doing. He says, "Sure." And then the Lord says, "You tell them that I was making a garland, and making a garland, not just an ordinary garland, but I was making a garland of elephants." and I was making the elephant to pass through the hole of the needle, right? So Narad Muni goes back, and then when he meets the cobbler, the mochi, and he tells them that yes, I asked the Lord. He asked, did you ask the Lord, when will I meet him? He says, yes, I did. But before that, the Lord, would you like to know what the Lord was doing? And this is what he was doing. And then there are tears flowing through the mochi's eyes. He's so happy to hear the Lord's activities. And he's like fascinated again. He says, wow, so you believe that the Lord was able to do that? He says, why not? The Lord is maintaining all the living entities. There's the tree that under which I'm sitting. He's sitting under that Imli tree, and so many leaves are there in the Imli tree, and it says and then there's such a huge tree here, and such a huge tree can come out from one small seed, and why it is not possible for my Lord to sew a garland of elephants and from a needle. So anyway, so the Narad Muni is touched by his response, and then he tells him that yes, the Lord told him that Lord told that you will see him after taking birth. As many leaves are there in this tree, and still he's happily shedding tears of joy, saying, "Oh, my Lord is so pleased on me that at least I will meet him." So again, Narad Muni is just completely astonished to see that there are so many leaves on this tree, and still he is so happy that he'll meet the Lord after taking so many births, which is like crores of births. Still he's happy. But when he goes to the Brahmana and tells the same story what the Lord was doing, the Brahmana doesn't believe. How is that possible, right? How can the Lord? How is that possible? How can elephant go through the eye hole of a needle? So even though he's a Brahmana, is performing all Vedic injunctions and reading Shastra, still he doesn't believe that. And when he hears the same thing, the Lord will meet you after all, based on the number of leaves in this tree. He is actually mad and angry. I've been doing this, I've been worshipping the Lord, and still, he wants to see me after taking so many more births, right? So again, he doesn't have that faith. But then the Lord, immediately comes on Garuda. Narad Muni sees, and then that mochi, the cobbler, when he comes on Garuda's feather, it seems, flaps, and then all those leaves that are there on the tree, they all fall down. And then when Narad Muni sees the Lord coming, he says, "Oh Lord, you told that he will go back home after taking so many more births as the number of leaves in this tree." The Lord says, "No, but you see, how devoted he is. So now you look at the tree, all the leaves are already shed, right? So now his time has come, so I've come to take him." So for the Lord, right, like we say, Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Pravashaitam. So for the Lord, he can make one yuga as small as one nimisha, or he can make one nimisha as large as one yuga. What is not possible for the Lord, right? So he takes back that cobbler in this life itself, back home, back to Godhead, right? Versus the Brahmana who is just following, like Niyamagraha we say, just following rules and regulation for the sake of following rules and regulation without developing any love of Godhead. Then you are just going to be here. So what is needed is just simplicity, sincerity, as Prabhupada says, simple living, high thinking. We don't have to run after all these material accolades, accomplishments, looking after or having pride and arrogance. All these qualities come when we are materially absorbed in the mode of passion. We raise ourselves to the mode of goodness, Shuddha Sattva, and transcend the modes by following our scriptures, following the instructions of Acharyas. Then everything will be perfect. Anyway, so many other things to talk about, but yeah, we will pause here. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay. Nobody has anything else? Did anybody remember yesterday we said one thing? One thing I was also thinking, today is Wednesday. Maybe we should do, instead of me just talking, I think, I certainly want to hear, because like I said, I also want to learn from how you are applying these teachings in your own lives, because it's for all of us. We are all coming together. This is not a reading where I'm just reading. But of course, when we all come together and read, it pleases our acharyas, it pleases Srila Prabhupada, because that's what they wanted, that whatever we do, we try to do in association of the devotees. So, but I certainly want to hear, like Meenu Mataji shared, I'll be very happy to hear, how you are applying these teachings in your lives, or any reflections, realizations. And one thing I was thinking is, Wednesdays generally, I remember growing up, we always used to do good things on Wednesdays, right? We start something new on Wednesdays. So I was thinking yesterday I suggested one thing, that how we can we remember the Lord, right? So Smaranam. So we do Shravanam, Kirtanam. Of course, by reading these instructions of the Lord, also we are remembering the Lord. But in our day-to-day life, after we finish these 2 hours of morning japa and reading, when we are into our material endeavors, we go to work or we go to school, whatever we are doing, how are we remembering the Lord? So one thing that just came out of my mouth yesterday was about, when we all drink water, we should remember the Lord, right? We should say Rasam of Sukantya. We should remember that this is the taste of water is Krishna. And we can just chant. Whenever we do that, we can chant one Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, right? It's very simple. It's simple things. Like I was remembering that very nice post that Vishwanath Prabhu shared for book distribution, right? What is success? What is spiritual success? Right? Just simple things. Just that one kid stopping by and looking at the books and waving at Vishwanath Prabhu from the car, right? That is spiritual success. That is success. It's not like how many books were distributed, right? But somebody stopped by and said Hare Krishna. That is success. So for us also, we can, like that, small things, even if we are able to remember the Lord one time in a day, start there, right? I'm sure we are all doing that. I'm just saying in general, but so when we drink water, we can remember the Lord. At least we can say Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So maybe I'm thinking, I can put a poll, or any of us in the future can put that poll. But maybe we try to do this every day, for 7 days, 10 days, whatever it is, to build this habit. That today, for 1 week, we will try to do, just like we sing this prayer one for a whole week. 1 week, one simple activity. Just while drinking water, we will remember the Lord. We'll say one Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Right? If we keep doing that for a week, then maybe it will become a habit. Right? So like that, maybe we can try doing small gestures, and I'm open. Like I would like to hear from every one of you, how you are remembering the Lord during the day, and maybe we can put a poll, and all of us together as a group, we can do those simple things, and that will help improve our Vishnu Smaranam, remembrance of the Lord during the day. Because the whole point of doing all this, the whole point of, like Prabhupada is writing all these books, is to chant. The whole point to chant is to develop our love of God, to develop the remembrance of the Lord. Because only by remembering the Lord, when we love somebody, we remember them. And when we remember them, when we remember somebody, then we love them, right? So it's vice versa. So the whole goal is, what we do in these 2 hours should develop our consciousness for the remaining 22 hours. So that way we can develop our remembrance of the Lord, and we can develop our love for the Lord. So that was one thought. We all can think about it. We can try for 1 or 2 weeks. If it works, it's all good. If we want to make adjustments, enhancements, open to ideas, suggestions. So I'll put a poll in the group, and every day of this week, let's do that one simple thing. When we drink water, just remember Rasoham Apsukanteya and chant one Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, all right. Everybody agrees? You can raise your hands virtually on Zoom. Let me see who all are here today, so we can see and we can continue that. Yes, Meena Mataji, thank you. Okay.
Wonderful idea, Prabhu. Will do.
Thank you so much, Anandi Gopika Mataji. Yes, Aarti Mataji, Meenakshi Mohini. Okay. Yeah, so I'll put that poll, and then let's we all can. This is again a group and collective effort, and together, like Prabhupada says, we'll be able to march forward more strongly. Okay, Hare Krishna, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha, Anantakoti Vaishnavrind ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Teachings of Lord Kapila Muni ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Have a great day, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.